Hello, hello, women with ambition. I'm very excited to be here today to empower you to get shit done. I do apologize in advance if anybody is offended by swear words. I don't swear much, but that one piece is important. So that's probably the only time I'm going to say it, maybe once or twice. So I'll start off by just telling a little bit about myself and my story and where I'm coming from, and then I'm going to dive into actually teaching you a process that I use to help me conquer overwhelm and get things done so that I can actually have that positive impact and that freedom that I so desire, and I'm sure that many of you in this group desire as well. When I was a little girl, I could do anything, I could be anything, I could have anything. My greatest cheerleader came in the form of my father. He taught me things that little girls normally don't get taught. I learned how to change the oil in a car when I was 10. I knew how to change a flat tire, all these things from growing up on a farm and just having a father who really cared that I knew and could do anything that I put my mind to. But when I was 16 years old, shortly after my 16th birthday, he was ripped out of our lives when he died suddenly of a heart attack. And in that moment, I chose to stop living. I chose to stop loving, and I stopped taking responsibility for my own life, my own actions, and my choices. A few years later, after suffering through cocaine addiction, abusive relationships, I mean, you name the bad decision, I made it. What I realized was I always had that entrepreneurial spirit. I wanted more, and it was a value that had been instilled in me from a little girl. So I knew that I wanted to have more. I wanted freedom, and I wanted to have an impact. On the 20th anniversary of my father's death, my family was all set to get together to celebrate his life and share memories. And I was in complete chaos. I had studied all the greats. I was doing the things. I was running a successful online business. I was successful as far as everybody from the outside could see. But I was in complete chaos. And on that 20th anniversary, that celebration of life, I made a decision not to go. And it broke my heart. I sat down and realized that things needed to change. I was making every excuse in the book. My clients wouldn't understand why I had to take a weekend off. I mean, really, my car might break down. I could have cut a ride. I was making excuses and not taking responsibility for my own actions. And what I realized is that even though I was able to get out of cocaine addiction without formal rehab help, I had pulled up my big girl panties and I had taken responsibility for my life and I quit doing cocaine. Same as the abusive relationships. I pulled up my big girl panties, I took responsibility for my life, and I got out of those relationships. But this pattern of chaos and fear and making excuses and not taking responsibility continued on because I never did anything to fix it. So I sat down and I made a decision to pull up my big girl britches yet another time and take responsibility. But this time I chose to take responsibility for all of it, not just a piece of my life, but for all of my life. And I sat down and I started doing the work. I sat down and started really digging deep into my personal pain and healing that pain. I found my purpose and I started moving forward. So my name is Cindy, and I am on a mission to simplify the online business world, to empower solopreneurs to start sharing their message so that they can have a more positive impact on the world. So today I'm going to teach you a few things about conquering overwhelm. And I mean, when you're running an online business, there's so many things to think about. There's branding, there's logos, there's social media, there's mindset, there's email lists, there's payment portals, there's membership platforms, there's your family and your kids and your friends, and oh my God, are you overwhelmed yet? What if it wasn't so hard? What if it could be easy? So this simple system that I use is really, it came from reading what is it? Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But he does it boring, and I like to mix things up and make it really playful and fun. So I created a system that works around his concept, but it's a lot more fun, so I like it. So first of all, what you do is you walk away from your computer. When you feel that overwhelm coming up and you feel like you need to do all the things, the first thing you need to do is walk away from your computer. So you walk away, you grab a notepad and a pen, you grab essential oils, you grab crystals, you grab whatever it is for you that you need to get connected into who you are and yourself. I like to put on some nice music. I like to diffuse some oils. I like to meditate for a couple of minutes and just get myself grounded and really centered into my higher self. And then I move on and I start writing. So I set a timer for 20 minutes and I literally dump all of the things that are in my head onto this piece of paper. And it becomes like your master to-do list, but I don't like calling it that. It's literally just what I call it, a creativity cleanse. And you just dump all of the things. No censorship whatsoever. If it has to do with your family, your friends, your business, your personal life, of anything that's in your brain, you just get it all out. Now, when the 20-minute timer goes off, I like to set a timer for another 5 minutes and keep going. It's like in yoga when they tell you to take a deep breath and you breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, and then they tell you to breathe in just a little bit more. And the same thing on the exhale when you get to the end and you just exhale just a little bit more. That's what that 5 minutes is for, is to just get out a little bit more out of your head. By taking all of this information that's bouncing around in your head and making you crazy and overwhelmed and stressed out and putting it on paper, number one, that's like cleaning out the closet. It's getting rid of the stuff that's been in there for 6 months. It's been bouncing around and you just don't know what to do with it. Now it's on a piece of paper. It's no longer in your head. You can either let it go, take action, do something with it. So that leads me to my next piece. What do you do with this master list when it's all done? Well, the first thing you do when that 5-minute timer goes off is you get up and you dance party, because you need to shake it off and get rid of that energy and that stress and that overwhelm. So you have a little dance party or go for a quick walk, play with the animals, whatever you need to do to just shake off that energy. Then you sit down, and I've created a quadrant. There's a PDF download in the description of this video that you can grab. It's a quick PDF, easy. You can print it off and use that, or you can just use a regular journal. It's no big deal. But I've created a quadrant. So I'll talk about the quadrants and I'll describe each one. In the top left-hand corner, we have what's called the 911 quadrant. Now, this is the stuff that you needed to do a month ago, or that a client is expecting you to have done and it hasn't been done yet and you're just procrastinating on it, and now the due date is passed and you're like, oh my God, I need to do this. So that's what goes in the 911 quadrant, is all those emergency tasks. And I'll explain what to do with these quadrants once it's all sorted. So then on the right top hand corner, you have what I call the sanity saver quadrant. This is all the stuff that can be either delegated, systematized, or automated. So my favorite example of this is having a scheduling app set up. A lot of people that I see will email back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, trying to find a good time that works to have an online meeting or to have a coffee date or anything like that. But if you have a scheduling app in place, all you have to do is when somebody says, hey, I'd like to have a chat with you, great, here's my scheduling link. Just book a time that's convenient for you and we'll make it happen. That saves so much time and energy. It's ridiculous. So that's one simple automation you can do. Maybe there's something that you're doing in your business that you don't need to be doing all the time, or it could be delegated out. So think about those kind of things that either can be automated to make them easier so they're completely out of mind, systematized so that there's a step by step by step, boom, 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 it's done. Or perhaps you delegate it out to a virtual assistant or to somebody else on your team. So that's the sanity saver quadrant. Now I'm going to leave the bottom left-hand corner for last because that's my favorite. The bottom right-hand corner is the stop doing it quadrant. Now this one's my favorite. I am a huge fan of a Netflix binge, but there is a time and a place for it. So perhaps if you're doing a Netflix binge every second day, it might be something to consider to stop doing. Scrolling through Facebook and pretending you're working when you're really not, that goes in the stop doing it quadrant. There's all sorts of things that could go in that quadrant. That's up to you. What do you need to stop doing? So you just go through that master list and start dropping them in the stop doing it quadrant and just stop doing it. Or maybe schedule in your Netflix binges, schedule in your personal Facebook scrolling time so you're not fooling yourself and pretending you're working when you're scrolling through social media. And then we have the final quadrant, my absolute favorite, is the Magic Maker quadrant. Now this is where you need to be spending 80% of your time. So this is your marketing, this is your social media engagement and community building, relationship building. This is getting on podcasts and sharing your message and having that impact. This is creating new programs and services. This is talking to clients, all the good stuff that moves your business forward and you get shit done. So now you've got everything broken down into this quadrant. Great. Now what do I do with it? So what you do with it now is you schedule in these tasks. So what I like to do with this whole system is I actually use it once a week. When I started doing it, those 911 tasks were always there, and it was constant over and over and over again every week, 911, 911, 911. But what I realized after about a month and a half of doing this and using this system, 911 tasks rarely show up for me anymore because I've been able to schedule things in. And a lot of times the 911 stuff is like a quick client task that could take maybe 5 minutes and it's done. So just get it off the list. So what I like to do is I like to split up that Magic Maker quadrant and schedule that in, however that looks like in your schedule, whether you're time blocking or you're spreading things out over the week, but make sure you schedule it in because if you're not scheduling it, it's not a priority and it doesn't get done. So you make sure you focus on that Magic Maker quadrant first. Oh, and by the way, Magic Maker quadrant also includes time with your children and time with your family and self-care time. Hugely important. So schedule in your self-care time. Schedule in time with your family. So then there's those boundaries set and you actually make sure that you are getting quality time with your children and being present with them rather than having your head somewhere else on one of those 911 tasks. So make sure you're scheduling in the Magic Maker. And again, like I said, that needs to be 80% of the time. Then once a week, or maybe twice a week, depending on what that Sanity Saver quadrant looks like, schedule in an hour time where you can start knocking some of those off the list. Now, obviously, you're not going to do them all at once because you can't automate your whole life overnight. But you can do 1 or 2 tasks on that list per week to either delegate, systematize, or automate. So get 2 of those knocked off the list every week. Eventually that list will become smaller and smaller and smaller. And then of course the stop doing it list is just don't do it. It's that simple. So I hope that that's helpful. If you have any questions, I'm happy to hop back into this group and I will be monitoring comments and questions and all that good stuff. So I will make sure to come back and answer those questions. Again, if you'd like the PDF download, go ahead and download it with the link in the description. And if you want to find me, stalk me, chase me online, I am found everywhere as Cindy Van Arnhem. My website is cindyvanarnhem.com. I do run a Facebook group called The Universal Guide to Being a Well-Balanced Solopreneur, where we focus on a spiritual approach to business and keeping that balance. Because I believe that we can all run successful online businesses and still maintain a balance if we know who we are and we stay true to who that person is. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. It's been an absolute pleasure to join you in this group. Bye-bye.